Aloha and welcome to Tiki Tuesday Talks. Very excited to be back after a hiatus for a week for everybody to get out and vote in the U.S. Thanks for doing that. Biggest turnout ever. Pretty exciting. Let's welcome our guests here. Sly, what's going on, man?
What's happening? How you doing?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Glad to have you.
Excellent. Glad
Where
to be
are you at right now?
Where?
Yeah.
In the HQ. I'm in the back cave. Yeah.
Tell us about that painting you have right there.
Oh, the Tretchkov. This is one of my favorite paintings. So this is the Green Lady. And basically this is one of the first pieces of popular art. So we're talking about community, right? And this came out in the 60s. There was a couple of artists and they mass produced these portraits. The art world hated them because up until that point, you know, art was still slightly exclusive and something that rich people had in their homes. And all of a sudden, everyone was buying art from like Woolworths and the local chemist. So literally during this period in the UK, you'd see, I want to say 70% of households had some variation of this artwork. If not this, then the ladies on the swans. Maybe it was a little kid clown crying, but there was all this like kitsch artwork that just kind of filled the houses. And so this has a little special place for me because this also happens to be the main image in Trailer Happiness. So you've been to Trailer, right? You guys have been to Trailer.
Yeah.
So when you come into Trailer, there's an area called the Den. You can Google it. But we've got like this image blown up crazy large on the back wall. And we're actually in the book. So there's a book about the artist, and we got featured in it for that piece of artwork, which is nice because we definitely didn't license it.
There you go. Yeah, come on in. Yeah. This is Natalia, my lady, who it's her birthday.
How you doing? Oh, happy birthday!
Thank you. I'm so honored to do this when you're on. That's very cool. I'm crashing your little podcast.
I love that.
Yeah.
She's going to be with us later for 5 questions.
Okay.
Awesome. Good exit. Well done. We got all the production values over here.
It was super smooth.
Yeah. No expense has been spared. Steva, what's going on?
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. I'm in Birmingham, as mostly always. It's, we're feeling after effects of Hurricane Eta.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit rainy, but it's still warm, 70 degrees in November. Welcome to Alabama.
Everywhere's warmer than here. I'm in Vegas. It's like 30s at night. I don't know what's going on. It's like the depths of the winter already here.
No, I don't like that.
Sorry, Sly. It's Fahrenheit. Doesn't make any sense.
None of it does to me, to be honest. I'm like, yeah.
Well, we can blame you guys for it, really, but cool. Aaron, what's happening?
What's going on? How are you?
Not
good.
Good.
Joining you from the balmy, tropical oasis of Baltimore right now with the warm 75-degree weather day. So
it's a good day for secrets, huh? Good day for secrets.
Let's go.
We should have a show where you are live from secrets.
I'm about that. I am all about that. Let's try to figure this out in December.
Let's figure it out. Yeah. So Sly, there's a spot called Secrets, which we had a team call last week, and we went on about an hour-long tangent. It's in a town called Ocean City, Maryland, and it's basically like a Jamaican resort, 30 bars, whatever, on the bay in this kitschy beach town, which actually resembles a lot Wildwood. So if you ever end up in the Maryland coast, be sure to check out Secrets.
Secrets, yeah?
Yes.
I'm on it.
The slogan is "Find us and get lost." So yes,
Yeah, we have a Secrets in London, but it's a slightly different concept.
Yeah.
I leave it to your imagination.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. All right, we're gonna catch you guys a little bit. Okay, let me give you guys a little breakdown here on what we're doing today. Sly, owner of Trailer Happiness in London. If you guys didn't catch it or weren't familiar, topic community spirit, as sponsored by Appleton Estate. As usual, chat box and questions. If you're here or on Facebook Live, hit us with questions. I'll integrate them through the show. Please do share the event. Always appreciated. Tip jar can be found on the Crowdcast, PayPal at trailerh.com. We'll do the presentation, we'll do the cocktail sessions, and then the Tiki fam. Sly, I'll give a whirl at this on your background. Born and bred in Notting Hill. Almost fate when became the owner of West London's acclaimed mid-century Tiki community bar, Trailer Happiness, in 2012. Lifelong love of rum, started doing a summer trip of St. Lucia at age 18, trying some powerful local rums. So good, those rums. And he grew his knowledge of the spirit to become one of London's leading rum aficionados. You spearheaded a series of events, flying guests to St. Lucia for its annual jazz festival in various places across the capital, including Trailer Happiness, built a strong relationship with the staff and the previous owner. In 2012, Hank planned to relocate to New York. Oh, that would have been cool.
Would have been pretty cool, man.
I heard the trailer was potentially going to close down. Speaking of close friends, he decided to buy the business with the money he made selling properties, and the rest is history. So I'll leave it to you at this point to take us from there.
Yeah, I just want to shout 52 Chefs for that picture. He took that picture. We were in Athens for the Clumsies, the Clumsies Tiki beach party.
Nice.
Which was insanely good.
Yeah, I've heard only great things about that bar, that team.
Yeah, they do things properly. Yeah, they do things the right way.
That's rad. Right on. Should we get into your deck, good sir?
Yes, let's do this, man.
All
so
right, let's do this.
I will
Boom. Beautiful.
So there we go. Let's start off with this image. So
great image. Looks fun.
It's a fun time, isn't it? I think that encapsulates a lot of what Trailer Happiness is about, the spirit of Trailer Happiness. Joyful chaos. So as you mentioned in the bio, I purchased Trailer Happiness in 2012. And since then, my knowledge of running a bar and my knowledge of rum has increased over the years. And I've made some amazing connections and met a bunch of incredible people. And the overall topic, or the overall subject of this conversation I wanted to have with you guys today is about community spirit. And I guess for me, the purpose of Trailer Happiness and my purpose as a bar owner is to provide something of quality, to provide something of value to my community. And that community can be the immediate community of people that happen to live in, W11, London W11, or it could be the wider community, which is, my rum fam, my rum people, and, my other friends and family from around the world. Apologies if you can, if you heard those sirens.
Yeah, feels natural to me. I'm missing New York. I hear those sirens, man.
All right, cool. London, we have sirens too. So let me see if this is working. So yeah, this is just this is my baby, Trailer Happiness, and it's situated in West London, in an area called Notting Hill, which you may be familiar with because there was a movie called Notting Hill, which was the most unrealistic interpretation and visualization of Notting Hill that you could ever hope to see.
Didn't really connect to my knowledge.
Yeah, it just bad. Like if you want to know what Notting Hill is not, then watch that movie. I hate it. But yeah, Notting Hill is a unique part of London, and it's unique because it is one of the few places that has a real mashup of class, culture, and race. And this is predominantly because after the Second World War, this particular part of London suffered, as much of London did, but suffered a lot of bombing. And the bombs in this particular part of London, very sporadic. So you had complete decimation in one spot, completely untouched on another block, and so on and so on. So it was just kind of scattered, almost like acne. You know what I mean? Like a rash. It was just little areas of destruction. Obviously, the people that lived there during those times were not, or a lot of Londoners at that point, were not prepared to take their chances, and many of them moved to the countryside, or just left their London homes and went and lived elsewhere. So you have some really beautiful homes in this part of London, some very expensive properties, but then you also have a lot of council blocks and estates scattered and kind of mixed in amongst the affluence and the wealth. So what that's done is that's created a very interesting community and a very interesting mix. And I think the area has been incredibly successful because of that. It's one of the areas where there was a period where literally any musician you can name has been to Notting Hill, literally just roads away from this picture, to record albums. So Marvin Gaye, Bob Marley, the Beatles, Carly Simon, like everybody has been there. Blur, Damon Albarn. So it has a really strong kind of connection to arts and music. And this is true of the Caribbean element that moved into Notting Hill. So there was a period, again, after the war, when London was rebuilding and they needed bodies, they needed assistance. So they asked, or they invited members of the Commonwealth, which obviously included the Caribbean ex-colonies, to come and work and support and to grow London, to kind of repair London. And because this part of London was in such disrepair, this was the place that they felt would be best to put the minorities, the ethnics, and what have you, that they didn't necessarily want spoiling the nice parts of London. So you grew this really interesting melting pot.
It's interesting, as an aside, I used to live in Washington, D.C. I don't know if you've ever been there.
I haven't yet, which is embarrassing. I need to go there. I got to check out my boys.
I would avoid it for a little bit right now. But yeah, so I lived in an area called U Street, which was like in the 20s, huge jazz, African-American, like Renaissance scene, Duke Ellington, all this stuff. It really fell into bad times in like the 60s, 70s, 80s. And then when I was there maybe 10 years ago, and then the 10 years prior, it really kind of sounds like a lot what you were describing. It's a super interesting cultural mix.
Yeah.
A lot of great character, some rich, interesting people there. Obviously, people have been there a long time, a really big mix of kind of cultural backgrounds and things that was pretty dynamic.
Exactly. I think dynamic is the one, because it's something that you couldn't really plan if you tried it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
This is just a little shot inside Trailer Happiness, give you an idea of the kind of vibe and the atmosphere. It's quite a kind of like old school retro mid-century bar with a strong Tiki influence. But it's one of those places that has a lot of personality, and when you come into it, you immediately become part of Trailer Happiness. And it's kind of how I see New York. When I used to visit New York, I always felt that New York's one of those places that as soon as you get there, you just become a part of it. It's just like, who are you? What can you contribute? Cool. You're now a part of this big thing. So that's kind of how I like to look at Trailer Happiness. And I guess it makes sense that this was the reason why I didn't actually make it to New York. It's my own little piece in West London. So being from London, I grew up with bars and pubs. And pubs are a very what's the word I'm looking for? An intrinsic, a kind of a very important part of the fabric of British culture. Pubs, as we know, historically, pubs and taverns have been incredibly important meeting places and social places where ideas are shared, where people meet, people get together. And for me, as somebody who is very much a people person, is very much interested in my community and other people, I've always gravitated towards these kind of environments, bars and pubs, and always enjoyed that kind of connection and the possibility to connect with people that you don't know. So this was part of my upbringing, and this is kind of what led me to get into the industry, and kind of gravitate towards it. Now, talking about the history of pubs in the UK, it hasn't been all rosy, right? And for sure, the relationship between the pub, the drinking house, and the establishment, whether that's the police or that's the council, has always been a little bit precarious, right? So there's a reputation. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gin Lane or Mother's Ruin, or a period in London where there was incredibly high levels of alcoholism. And this is the reason why we have many of the laws that are in place today stem from, a period where London was, you mix poverty and alcohol and you get some serious issues.
And this is like the bathtub gin era, right?
Exactly.
Where it's like really rough stuff causing problems when it's not made right, etc.
Yeah, well, a lot of the bathtub gin era is almost similar to prohibition. It was more because of the draconian laws that were put in place to kind of to stop people drinking. People started to just make their own.
Got it.
So that was that. So it was actually a response to a government decision. It feels so similar. Actually, thinking about the as I sit here in the second lockdown, often the government make choices and make decisions that sound good without really thinking it through and without entertaining the potential consequences and side effects of their decisions. So you had this situation where they created some pretty drastic negative scenarios, and they and we continue to suffer for them, basically, just from the way that they choose to tackle issues. And for me, the issue is always communication with the bar owner is much more useful than restrictions or simply imposing bans and arbitrary rules and regulations. It's much better to talk to the people who actually work in the industry and ask them for their advice, give them the information that you have. And I think that's something that definitely I've tried to do during my time as a bar owner. Now, although I say that I think that a lot of the kind of the opinions of bars are very negative. And I got into an Uber the other day, and the Uber driver was telling me that he was like, yeah, you know what? We was talking about COVID, and he said, yeah, you know what? The problem is the bars. The bars are the problem. Obviously, he had no idea that I was a bar owner.
Right.
And I said to him, "What? So, oops, my mic just fell down." I said to him, "So it's not the offices, no, it's not the schools, the bars." He's like, yeah, because the bars." And it's like, well, we've documented that bars are actually one of the least problematic areas in terms of COVID transmission, because of all of the extreme measures that we have to take in order to keep everybody safe. But it doesn't matter, because the reputation precedes, right? Some of that reputation is justifiable. There is no question that alcohol, if abused and if distributed without measure, can cause a host of issues and a host of problems. And so for me, it was important that that when I approach the council or I approach the police, I don't come to them as somebody who is naive or oblivious to the potential issues. We accept that there can be problems, but we understand them, and we have a certain responsibility to make sure that they don't cause problems for our community. And this is something has always been at the front of my business practice. So the neighbor makes noise complaints, we deal with it, whether that's reducing the volumes or completely taking out speakers and sound. It's always been a part of the ethos of trade happiness, right? It's keeping everybody in the community happy. Now, obviously, when you think of trailer happiness, you think of people behaving themselves, you know, quiet nights in, absolutely nothing to see. Definitely nobody getting drunk, right? I mean, look, trailer happiness has
see a lot of people I know there.
Yeah, trailer happiness definitely has a reputation as a very boisterous, great time, good time party bar. And it fulfills many different functions. You can come and you can lounge on certain nights, and certain nights you come to trailer happiness and you go absolutely nuts. But, you know, we still have a commitment to our community. And again, I said, whether that be the rum community, whether that be the immediate community around us, whether you are somebody who wants to come into the bar or whether you're just somebody who happens to live above the bar, we still consider you part of the community. And this is something that I thought was interesting. When I got into this industry, you know, I came into it and I didn't come into it as a bartender. I came into it as a consumer. And so my position in the bar is quite unusual. And, you know, for sure, there will be people in the industry who might have taken a different journey, and they might look upon me and be like, well, I can't relate, you know, I'm a bartender and this is what I do. And I can't necessarily relate to what you do. And for me, it's fine, but you're still in the family. Like, you know what I mean? Whether you like it or not, we're still part of the family. So the guy complaining upstairs, I could I could say that he's being a dick. I could say that he's being overly sensitive, but it's irrelevant because he is part of my community. He's part of my family. And I have a responsibility to do what I can within reason to make sure that he's having a good time.
I think there's, to me, sorry to interrupt, Sly.
Go ahead.
There's a couple things here. One is, from a general basis, like, I have never owned a bar, but I am friends with a bunch of people who do. I do business with bars. I see a real wide variety of care to, like, the community, right? And you can see who's doing it right and who's not. And I think you always have to respect somebody who has that mentality, right? Like, yeah, they may be overreacting. It may be ridiculous that you live in the middle of a major city and you think you can complain about noise, right? I mean, I lived in West Village. I had people calling the cops on me all the time for having a roof party. And it's like Saturday night at 11:30. What are you living in the West Village for? But nonetheless, to your point, they're still part of the community. I think what has been disappointing here, which it sounds like you're reflecting over there, with COVID, which is clearly a challenging situation, everybody needs to be responsible for. I've seen that there really hasn't been a voice for the hospitality community in government at all that I could really see. It seems to be kind of like very cursory. And there seems to be almost like a lumping in of all the people who are doing it exactly the wrong way and don't care at all, and the people who want to do it the right way, and not finding a way to disassociate those two and understand how they're different.
Absolutely.
It's a thing.
Yes.
Which is tough to see when you know people really care. They're trying to do the best they can. They're trying to follow everything, and it changes every week, right? You know?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head, because it is exactly that. It is the fact that when you say hospitality, or when they say bars and pubs and bars and rest, you know, these things are so different. You know, yes, fundamentally we serve drinks, we may we serve food, but the environment, the spacing, the seating, everything about our businesses is different. So when you say to somebody, you can have this many people in there, or there's this spacing that needs to be happening, you know, it just doesn't make sense for every business. And then they'll look to you like, well, it's your fault if you can't open, because we've allowed you to open, so it's up to you. And then you're like, well, I can't open because under the rules that you've given me, it doesn't make sense. I'd be able to have like four people in the bar, you know. So again, it comes down to conversation, and unfortunately, there isn't really anybody. Well, there are some people speaking, but it doesn't seem to be a direct connection to the people that are making these rules. This picture that I pulled up right here, which I took last week, and for me it speaks to why I am a bar owner. It's certainly not for the profits, I can tell you that much. It's 100% for the people. And all right, it's not 100% for the people, it's 80% it's 70% for the people and 30% for the rum. Yeah, let's be honest. But no, seriously, I love moments like this. So when I'm in my bar, and Trailer Happiness is a bit of a date bar. We get a lot of couples in Trailer. We've had a lot of couples that have met, first dates, got married, come back, had their anniversaries at Trailer. And this situation here was, these guys got married. I don't know if you can quite make it out because my camera just really betrayed me. But this guy's like tuxedo, bow tie, group of them, 6, obviously, just 6. And they came to Trailer Happiness to celebrate their wedding. Right? They met in Trailer and they came to celebrate in Trailer, and this was their first dance. Now, technically, there is no dancing anymore, but the place, by this time, the place was sufficiently emptied that they could have a socially distanced. It wasn't dancing. It looks like dancing, but they were just doing some exercising. Just just making sure that they were, nice and loose and limber before they climb the steps. But this is what Trailer Happiness is about. This is what bars are for. This is fundamentally what bars are about. This is what they're for. So I'm gonna pull up my next one.
Question for you before you get into that. Have you ever met Michael Neff?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's my guy.
You have it Tiki Europe, maybe, right?
Say again?
Did you meet him at Tiki Europe, or you met him elsewhere?
No, I met Neff at Tails.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We both did some kind of interview for something, and his one ended, my one started. So I met him at Tails. I've met him a couple of times, but then I met him at Tiki by the Sea again, and then he came to London, and I brought him to Trailer.
Right on. Yeah, because the ethos that his talks are always about this, right? Like, this is what bars really do. This is what bartenders are doing. You're creating an experience. You're not making the most amazing 12-ingredient cocktail. You're engaging with people. You're creating relationships. You're introducing people. You're creating like a space for this. I think that's what, one, you guys are kind of speaking the same language, and that's how I look at it. And two, I think that's what everybody misses so much.
Yeah.
It's great that you can create some of those experiences, at least, as much as possible now.
Yeah, and I think that, listen, this is, when I say this is for speaking for myself. I don't necessarily think every bar needs to be Trailer Happiness, or do things the way we do it. This is the space that we live in. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain bars that will put more of a focus on almost gourmet style cocktails.
Right.
And that is good for the industry as well, to create art from drinks and to elevate the category and to have people that are prepared to spend extremely high amounts of money on drinks. This is not a negative for the industry.
Right.
I'm just speaking mainly for what I want from a bar and what I try to reflect in my bar. This is the function of it. And it goes to the kind of point that what you were speaking about, when you said that a lot of people that do the right thing, and are caring and considerate, but it seems to be this divide in this space between what bars are doing and what people think bars are doing and the perception of bars. Right? The PR is negative, and it comes a lot of it comes obviously because we are associated for the most part with just getting people drunk, and that's it. There's nothing, you know, it's that you just get, you know, you get drunk, but people can get drunk at home, right? So community spirit is for me, one of the main purposes of community spirit was to directly connect the hospitality industry as a whole, and that's every aspect of it: bartender, bar owner, brands, brand owners, connect all of it together and present it to the community and say, we are part of the community and we are a thing that can help the community and be of benefit to the community. And, you know, it was born out of very unfortunate circumstances. So for those of you who aren't familiar, back in 2017, there was the Grenfell Tower disaster. And this was basically, you know, I spoke about the West London and how you have this combination of really expensive housing with council, you know, council housing, what you call projects, if you like, kind of intermixed. And this was an example of the negative aspect of that, because what happened was there are people, as the area starts to become more and more gentrified, and as wealthy people return to West London, return to Notting Hill, because now a lot of the infrastructure has been repaired, and you know it's vibrant, it's growing, and as they return to the area, you've got these remnants that remain from that period when all they basically wanted to do was create housing for all of the immigrants that come in to do the work. So it was just like, just knock them up quick as you can, so we can put these people in a house, so they can drive the buses, so they can be the nurses. And so you've come back to this beautiful area, but there's all of these unsightly blocks just all around the gaff. So a lot of them have been destroyed and replaced, but in some cases it just wasn't economically viable to do that. So what they decided to do was to put makeup on them effectively. And in this case, they cladded a tower block with, you know, like some pretty shiny little, tiles. Like they tiled the entire tower block so that it would be less offensive to the people that they were hoping, the wealthy people that they were hoping to encourage to move into the area. And what was, you know, and that in itself is not the true crime or the true sin. What was really, to this day, what really I can't wrap my head around was the cost of the cladding. So if you imagine, for instance, each panel was £7, it's £7 for a panel, and it's £12 or £11 if the panel's fire resistant. So of course the council went for the £7 cladding. And when you add it up, I think the price for the cladding came to something like 25 grand. I mean, it wasn't a lot of money when you're talking about the human lives that were lost. And we're talking about around 100 people losing their lives, you know, many hundreds being left homeless, losing all of their possessions. And, you know, it really, when you think about the money that the government spends on frivolous nonsense, to make that call, to make that decision and be like, you know, no. I mean, why there was even a non-fire retardant option available is mind-boggling, but why they chose it is really kind of saddens me. And this happened, that's just an idea of the devastation after the fire. But this happened, and what really kind of, I won't say it surprised me, but what became very clear and apparent to me was that despite everything you've been led to believe about London or modern London, the community is still very much alive and well. Because in the direct aftermath of this disaster, the local council honestly didn't know what to do. They hadn't prepared for it. Obviously, they hadn't prepared for it because they would have, you know, if they had any idea of it, they would have bought the right cladding in the first place. But they had no foresight, and they had no idea of how to deal with this situation. And so while they were filling out paperwork and having conversations amongst themselves, the community leapt into action and converted sports halls into shelters, organized donations, sorted through clothing, really just stepped up and took control of the situation. And in this moment, you know, we turned Trailer Happiness into a kind of drop-off point where people could drop stuff off. Volunteers could come in, use the bathrooms, have some water, have a drink, whatever. So we became like a little satellite during that period, and everybody did. And actually, one of the issues that came by was the fact that there was too much assistance and too much help. And, you know, they almost didn't have enough bodies to sort through all of the stuff that they were given. But it was a really powerful reminder to me of ultimately the truth that I think we lose sometimes, which is that the government is here to assist us, but it's not here to be us. You know, the government is not here to replace us. We are the community, and the government is literally a mesh. It should be a very delicate framework for which the community revolves around. It shouldn't be concrete blocks that can get in the way of what the community is trying to achieve. So during this period, let's see what we got now. So during this period, a conversation started to happen, and the conversation took place on the LBA, which is the London Bartenders Association. And in this forum, in this chat forum on Facebook, a lot of people were asking the question of how can they help. So this was bartenders from all over London and beyond who desperately wanted to have a positive impact on on this tragedy, on this crisis. They wanted to help. They felt somewhat powerless, and they didn't just want to send donations, because as we know, worse than the government, if you give money to some of these charities, it could take months before any of this gets to the people who actually need it, and they need it now. They need it today. So this was the conversation that was happening on this group, and somebody was asking, how can we help? And then another person mentioned me because I am within eye line. So to give you an example, that tower block I showed you, you can come out from Trailer Happiness on Portobello Road, and you can look down the street and you can see it. So just to give you an example of the proximity. So somebody asked, what can we do? And another person said, well, maybe you should talk to Sly, because that's his area. He's in that area. And then I was like, yeah, come to Trailer, like, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what we can do. So a group of around 8 of us got together at Trailer Happiness, and that's where Community Spirit was born. And the idea was basically to do something like a festival. So you get, you wouldn't have headliners. We're all billed equally, but it would be that whole kind of like a different bar at a different time. So we managed to find a space. We didn't do it at Trailer Happiness because it wasn't big enough for what we were trying to achieve. But I managed to find a space locally, and that had 3 sides. And what we did is we had 3 bars on every hour, and we just rotated them in, new bars in, new menus. We spoke to everybody. We had DJs, we had musicians, we had makeup, people doing makeup, people doing face painting, people selling T-shirts. We put this together. I think it took about 2 weeks. The brand sent us every brand we spoke to just sent us whatever we asked for. Liquor, everything was sent, mixers, everything came through. And we had this event, and we raised about 12.5 grand for the Grenfell victims. And I was able to go to the actual site where they had people on the ground who had direct contact with the victims, who were now living in various hotels around London. And we were able to communicate with them directly and find out exactly what they needed. So then we created and actually saying this now, but it was an Amazon account. I'm sorry. We created an Amazon account, and it was designed specifically to send care packages to the victims, but it was exactly what they needed. It wasn't just miscellaneous random stuff, because sometimes what happens is a woman who I met named Kate Spicer, she's a journalist, but she also lives in Notting Hill, and she refers to these people as bin draggers, right? She was like, oh, not the bin draggers. And what this is people who have stuff that they don't want, right? So you have stuff that you don't want, and you're like, oh, I can give this to them. But it's like, no, don't dump stuff that you wouldn't wear. Don't dump clothes that you wouldn't wear to these people. They have lost everything that they own. They haven't lost their sense of pride and dignity. Do you know what I mean? It's not, this is a strange thing. Like, people think that sending someone a bag of old clothes is helpful. It's not. All you're doing is jamming up the process, because now the volunteers have got to sort through all this crap before they can get to anything of any use. So what we were able to do is to ask them directly, what do you need? What is it that you don't have? And it was just random things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. You know, a lot of sanitary products and you know, just the basic things that people needed, hair dryers, things like this. And we sent it out. And we sent it out to, man, at least maybe 40 or 45 different households. And then we also gave a portion of the money we raised to the firefighters, and we gave a portion to the local youth clubs and the sports centers that had basically given all of their time and space to helping the victims. So that's what we did, and that was our way to connect directly to the community, and subsequently from that. So this is just a picture. This was the venue that we actually had the event in, and this is the team. These are the Avengers. Yeah. So these are the guys that we got together and we put this together. And after that, we didn't want to just let it. We didn't want to let it just kind of fade away. So we continue to do projects, and we continue. And sorry, this is a shot of the actual event itself. So these are the punchroom guys at that point. So we didn't just want the event to just fade away, right? It was a powerful moment, we felt, but we felt that we could make this a thing. And for me, you know, being a bar owner is very much about, or being anything is about purpose, right? So when somebody says, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, I think ultimately that comes down to the sense of purpose. And if you feel like you are doing the thing that you were born to do, then you will feel contentment and you'll feel happiness. And if you don't, then ultimately it will lead to frustration and possibly depression. And I think I think you see that in a lot of different, you know, I think you see that in society at the moment. I think a lot of us are working, and I think life is set up in a way that doesn't really question purpose. It's just about money, and money is not really ultimately, for me anyway, money is not the purpose. So right. So community spirit. So I tried to do that. I tried to be that person in Trailer Happiness, but this was something that was like, okay, now we can really do something for the community, and it's another layer to the purpose of being a bar owner. And this is Sophie Bratt. She currently works at Sexy Fish, which is a really cool restaurant and whiskey bar in Soho. And she's been really like a rock for community spirit in terms of just being somebody you can rely on to keep it alive and keep it going, and kind of rally. And you know, she's an A1 fundraiser, right? So understanding that there are a lot of pressure that comes with owning a business and running a bar, and you don't always have the time and resources that you'd like to be able to do community spirit as much as you'd love to do it. So it's really important to have somebody like Sophie to be able to help coordinate and do these events. And we've actually done quite a few events. The one you're looking at on the right side of the screen was at London Cocktail Week, who generously gave us an entire section, and we had every single bartender that came through did a little guest shift there, and we had all kinds of different events happening throughout the course of the day. It was incredible. And then on the left we had Cocktails in the City, an interview we did for Cocktails in the City, which was actually named after Community Spirit. So it was a Community Spirit edition, and that happened a few months ago. And all of the money we raised for that went to the Drinks Trust. All of the money that we raised from Community Spirit, or the majority of the money that we raised from Community Spirit, from the London Cocktail Week, went to a charity that was trying to educate bars about the safety of their patrons, in particular the female patrons, in ensuring that they get home safely. So this is obviously something that we thought was very important. So Community Spirit, as it exists now, doesn't have a specific charity. We're not tied to a specific fund or charity. We fundraise and we identify charities that we think need urgent, immediate help, and things that we think can benefit and help our community. Now,
a couple things real quick for you.
Yeah.
A couple comments and a question. One is, first of all, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that. And in particular, I think what's really impressive is the organization level of it. You know, creating an identity, finding specific ways to help. To me, the thing that I could relate the most to is seeing what happened post Hurricane Sandy in New York, which was a total disaster, like massive parts of New York, Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, underwater, under significant water, and power outages. And there really was, like, first of all, an amazing interest from the bar community in helping, right? Like, I've never really seen that kind of collective engagement from a group of people in other past lives, right? I was just astonished. Second of all, it is, to your point, so difficult. You want to help, but the organization level in something that big is so fragmented, and it seems like there's a bunch of people trying to go help do something. They're not getting direction. It's really difficult. You know, you try to do whatever you can. You make your own personal decision of what you can do to help. But I was really amazed at, like, there's really no overarching kind of leadership around a lot of things, you know? Yeah. And I think what I think is particularly rad about what you guys are doing is the continuity of it, right? And obviously this was organized around one specific disaster, but obviously there's continuous need. We're in the middle of a massive need that's totally different from that, but nonetheless there. So it's great to see. I think it could be inspirational for people in the bar community thinking about this.
Yeah, and you know, and you know, and we do these community spirit events, and you know, at some point the dream is for this just to be out there. Do you know what I mean? So anyone can do a community spirit event anywhere for their community to raise funds for their people. You know, and we're happy to use our contacts to generate, you know, whether that be noise, to make noise, to get stock assistance, stock support, whatever it may be. If people come to us with a need, we'll then do what we can do to assist. So that's something that we're hopeful looking for going forward. We want community spirit to be something that can be rolled out globally. Fundamentally, it only exists to help in different communities. So if anybody, you know, wants to jump on that, then just shout me.
Yeah, it's great. The other thing is you should definitely connect with Nate, who's doing a lot of things under something called Thirst here in the US, which is really about advocacy for the bar community, but obviously has a lot of overlap, and there's a lot of really amazing people involved in that. So I think it'd be a cool conversation for you guys to have. And I think that, to me, it certainly seems like something that could easily extend across country boundaries.
Yeah, I'm up for that. I'm into that. So I've spoken about, obviously, my philosophy and my perspective of bar ownership and how that transitioned into community spirit. But I just think that when we talk about community, it is such an integral part of everything that we are and everything that we do, right? So we talk about the Caribbean, talk about rums, and if we go to the heart and the home of rums, coming from Central and South America, the Caribbean islands, and you have this community of islands, right? So you've got the ex-colonies, whether they be British, French, or Spanish colonies, and this is the community. This is the community of rum. And when I look at it, the words that we can use when we describe rum as a category is diverse, right? Would be probably one of the most obvious words to use when describing rum. It's not uniform. It is, there's a uniqueness to it, right? So that's a massive part of the rum industry, and obviously rum is a massive part of the tiki industry and a massive part of bars in general. Now, we talk about rum and you talk about the Caribbean, you can't not talk about the shacks, the rum shacks. And again, going back to that kind of connection with community in Jamaica. I wish Zan was here. I keep meaning to ask him, but I'm pretty sure Zan knows the exact number of rum shacks that exist in Jamaica. And it's a lot, it's a lot. But this is all through the Caribbean. It's all through the Caribbean. You get these little rum shacks, and these are the social clubs. You know what I mean? These are the places that people hang out, spend time, have conversations. The rum is very intrinsically a part of it. And again, when you look at these shacks that are dotted around, there's nothing uniform about them. They come in all shapes and sizes. They're built, they're built in different ways, and there's something chaotic, but there's something dynamic, right? There's something that feels vibrant and feels alive about them, and it feels, you get that kind of that comfort and that community connection. It's not sterile. It's not overly designed or thought out. And I just moving on to a couple of pieces of artwork, right? So this one is, I believe this is a Barbadian artist. And again, for me, when I think of the Caribbean, this is what I see, like loads of different smells, loads of different colors, people, big people, small people, skinny people. Like, it's just this really ununiform, abstract, melting mix of things that create the community and give you that real sense of community. Because I think that if you walk into a space where everybody looks different, or where it isn't uniform, then you cannot feel out of place. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So it's like if you walk into a room and everybody's wearing a suit and you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt, you're gonna feel out of place, right? But if you walk into a room and there's just this mad hodgepodge of styles and shapes, then it doesn't matter. And that's kind of, again, going back to what I talk about trailer. We don't have a dress code, and some people really dress up and some people don't, and it doesn't matter. And it's never affected people's enjoyment of the bar. And I've never had people who are dressed up feel out of place because somebody else isn't dressed up, right? I think if you do it the right way, everybody just becomes part of that community. Here's another example of that kind of Caribbean community artwork. And again, the shapes, the colors, the vibrance, the non-uniformity. And when I look at this artwork, obviously I'm doing a talk on Tiki, and I'm doing a talk about community. So my mind is going to be in that space, right? I'm going to try and see where the overlaps are and how they connect and how they combine. But when I was looking at particular image in general, it just kind of reminded me of that classic original tiki, and let's say, so I'm saying tiki, but tropical offering. Because just remember, these drinks were it originally represented the tropics, right? They represented the Caribbean. This is what they were, and when you look at them, they are all over the place. They're all over the place. They're all different shapes, sizes, colors. You know, they're non-uniform. They're different. They're different levels for different tastes. And, you know, for me, that was a very strong a metaphor for what the Caribbean stands for. And obviously that is a massive part of what Tiki is about, right? It's a massive part of the culture of Tiki. And why I think it's important to say this and to kind of think it out, if you like, is because we're in a period now where, you know, for Tiki has its issues and it has its detractors, and it has people that have valid concerns about certain aspects of it. So now Tiki is in a place where it needs to define itself. What is it? Like, what is Tiki? If you take away, you know, the idols, if you take away the idols and the faces, what is it? If you take away all of the Polynesian iconography, what is it? And for me, I think this goes some way to, in my opinion, explaining what Tiki really is when you boil it down. It is that sense of community, and it is that kind of combination of a bunch of different things of different shapes and sizes coming together to make this community, to make this beautiful blended thing, right? Unlike any other bar that preceded it.
Yeah.
And
we've had a lot of interesting conversation with Mariah Kunkel and with Chalky about, like, where is Tiki going? You know, how do you make it celebratory but not, you know, taking advantage of? And like, I think you're right. It's like, to me, it's that diversity. It's including other flavors and ideas within the same construct, right? Like, it doesn't have to be what it was in the 1940s. It can be
exactly
where it's going. It can be more inclusive. It can be honoring a tradition instead of just taking advantage of the tradition, right? So I think there's I really like that. And to me personally, I spend most of my time just talking about the diversity of sugarcane spirits, right? Like, how incredibly diverse they are, the cultures, the aspects, all those different pieces of it.
Right, exactly. My camera has just switched off, so it's fine. You guys don't need to see my face, right?
Well, we're looking at drinks right now.
Right, that's cool. So so as an example now, again, this is just another shot I stole from the internet because I couldn't find one that we put all of our beautiful drinks down on the bar top. But, you know, again, you speak about Tiki bars, and I can't really think of many other spaces, I mean, at least not before Tiki bars, that would spend so much effort on making every single drink look completely removed from the other thing. You know what I mean? And individual and had its own style, but still part of the same family, right? So in terms of Trailer Happiness, going back to community, going back to the people within our community, this is what I was saying: non-uniform, diverse, and colorful. So I've already spoken about that as it relates to the drinks, as it relates to the rum, and I think it also is a massive part of the people who visit Trailer Happiness and our community in general, or what makes a community enjoyable, makes a community work, right? So this is a shot of Notting Hill Carnival. So during Carnival, it's one of the biggest carnivals, one of the biggest street festivals in Europe that usually happens every year, and you get this amazing connection or collection of human beings, and you get the most diverse mashup of music from all over the world, and it's one of the most joyous days in the calendar for me and for our bar as well. So this image is directly outside Trailer Happiness. What we do is we build a bar on the pavement. So in much the same way you see it in New York now, where you've got a lot of these like little built-up things for people to have outdoor seating, we just build a bar on the pavement that we have up for 2 days, and then we get rid of it. And during that day, we absolutely we connect in no other way with our community and with people from all over the globe. And it's just if you haven't been, you should not enough people from the rum world, and I say the international rum world, come to Notting Hill Carnival. It's a pilgrimage. You should definitely do it. Going back to community, and aside from that community of relative strangers that we serve during Notting Hill Carnival, we also have our own community that really came to the forefront. Well, I say came to the forefront, but really galvanized and protected us during the initial lockdown period. So I wasn't really aware, you have friends out there, but you don't really understand. You don't really get a sense of it until they come to your aid. So when we couldn't trade, I decided to sell merchandise. I'm going to have to start pushing that again soon. So, check out the website. But yeah, we sold merchandise, and people just from all over the globe were purchasing items. And I cannot tell you how helpful that was. That was massively important. That was the way that I paid staff in those initial weeks before the government decided whether or not they were going to help us. This is what gave me the energy and made me think and made me feel that my bar was worth it, was worthwhile. It was worth the stress and the headache, right? And it just reaffirmed my belief that the purpose of my bar is to curate, to create, and to facilitate community.
That's great. Keep fighting the fight, man. Yep.
So, again, I've gone back to this picture that I started with because it is that colorful blend of non-uniform, diverse human beings. It is essentially what Trailer Happiness is. If you had to break it down, in a nutshell, this is what Trailer Happiness is, and this is what I think hospitality is in general. Obviously, that's the thing I feel that I understand the most, so that's the thing I push. But I think ultimately our industry is very much this, and I think that Tiki, for all of its sins, is very much at the front of that position. The only reason I own a Tiki bar is because of how they treated me when I first walked in there. The way that they embraced me and my friends was unlike anything I'd experienced in any other place in London. So, I can speak with confidence as a consumer as well as an owner in that regard.
Right on, man. I just shared the link with the Crowdcast crew if you guys want to check it out. Shall we make a cocktail?
Let's do it, man. I just want to quickly just do a quick shout out to my rum community, right? We're talking about community. I couldn't do that without mentioning my community. So I just wanted to throw this picture up as well. And when I started, I wanted to throw in influential, important people in rum. And when I started putting these pictures together, it wasn't my intention to make it all women. But you know what? I started throwing them down. I was just like, I didn't want to spoil it with a picture of Ian Burrell's face. You know what I mean? That's really what it came down to. I didn't want to put Ian Burrell. I didn't want to put Richard Seal in there. I just thought this is too beautiful. I have to leave it just like this. And it gives me hope. You know what I mean? Actually, it makes me proud to think that, and this is no kind of tokenism. This is serious rum people. You know what I mean? These people is all the rum you need. Do you know what I'm saying? This is serious stuff. So it just gives me a feeling that I'm in the right gang, if you like. But yes, let's make a cocktail, shall we?
Let's.
Oh, so actually, I think if I stop sharing that.
Now I can switch.
Yeah. And then, just give me 1 second.
Yeah, you're good.
Just getting my camera set up. So this is a first, right? I'm attempting to create a little cocktail set. Right, here we go.
Oh,
So
here we go.
Look at that
cocktail pit.
Right?
Nice. I don't think we've had anybody do 2 cameras before. You're taking this to a new level of production.
Mate, this is lockdown 2, man. Like, there's gonna be a full rig in here before COVID's end.
There you go.
So I'm
Trailer 2.0
to do this thing now. So this is my community punch, and the inspiration behind this is a couple of different drinks that this is going to taste nothing like when I've finished bastardizing it. So I'm really just here to upset bartenders. But basically what I've done is I've taken a corn and oil and a tea punch. And I just got through telling somebody that you can't do anything other than a tea punch can only ever be a tea punch, right? It literally means small punch. But I'm taking elements of that drink to incorporate into what I'm making now. And the reason that I chose these drinks is because neither of them belong to anybody, right? These are literally the original community drinks.
for sure.
Right? So the tea punch is simply a drink that is drunk in Martinique. It's a super popular drink, but it doesn't belong to a bartender. It doesn't belong to a bar. And the corn and oil, again, is one of the drinks of Barbados, and it's similarly, nobody can claim it. Nobody can claim that they own it. So it's just a drink that was made popular by the people. And so I couldn't think of a better base for this. So I'm just throwing in here, got about 20 mils of lime. And what I'm also doing is I'm throwing in these lime husks into the tin. I am going to add about 40 mils of this delicious Appleton 8-year-old rum. Well done on that one, Joy.
We had her on a couple months back. It was amazing.
She's amazing.
Yes.
She's incredible. And I've got this sugarcane. So I'm not just using a regular sugar syrup. I'm using this Trois Rivières sugarcane syrup, which just had a bit more of that molasses aspect to it. And it's going to be just 10 of that. Give me. And then the world famous Falernum. And again, it's just going to be 10 mils of this. And then my favorite aspect to it, just to mess it up, is to add some cloudy pressed pear juice, because I'm just in love with it, and I don't think pear gets enough shine in the cocktail industry.
Especially good for the fall.
Right, there you go. So get yourself
appropriate, man.
Right. So I've just thrown about 25 pair in there. Now I'm going to close up my tin. Make sure I haven't left anything out, which is typically what I would do. I'm just giving it just a real quick shake. So I'm not trying to really do too much in the way of dilution. I just want to make sure the drink's nice and cold. And we're just going to dump it.
Look at that. Cocktail pit and everything.
There you go. Right?
Beautiful.
I shook it in there because I just wanted some of the oils. I wanted it to be a little tea punchy in that regard. And then just a dash of bitters. I know in my picture I had a pretty little lime wheel, but the lime husk has fallen so perfectly. I'm just gonna run with that.
Show the picture again here. Look at that.
Give it a little go. Nice.
Love that glass. I need one of those. That looks straight out of Wildwood.
Bruv, I gotta tell you, this is banging. This is a delicious beverage.
That's a good delicious drink. Seriously. Don't let anybody tell you you're not a bartender, man.
Don't let the way I made it sway you. This is a professional drink made badly, but wow, that's good. Yeah.
Okay. Very good. All right, we're gonna come back to you if you want to get your other camera back on for a goodbye. Yeah. We're gonna get to our 5 questions here.
Yeah, let me switch back because
take your time.
I'm the master tech guy now.
Oh, there he is. I was hoping he was going to make that drink on that Peloton. That's like right over.
Yeah, that would have been next level.
Right?
We got to bring it up to him. All right, 5 questions, birthday girl. This is the first time we've done it in person.
Yeah, Steve is so excited.
I am so excited.
Let's go. All right.
Let's go.
All right, I gotta have it over here because it can't be on my computer.
Favorite my backup questions if I don't think these are good enough.
Oh yeah, feel free to interject.
I'm gonna fall off my chair.
Wow.
Okay.
All right, favorite Tiki by the Sea memory.
There's like 900, but like the 5 years we've gone. Okay. Well, definitely. For example, the monkey shoulder truck when that rolled into Wildwood.
Shout out to Vance.
Hi, Vance. And also, I'm sure a lot of us in the industry have seen that truck at some event or another. But in Wildwood, this little town doesn't get to see these things, or at least even 50 bartenders in one spot at once. So seeing the cops kind of drive by Wildwood with all the truck was out there and like take pictures. Like I thought the cop was going to say, hey, what is that doing here? But they were actually like, hey, can we take a picture? So, and then people walking their dogs, everybody was just jaws dropped. So just seeing that reaction, that was definitely a highlight. And I just remembered the manti.
Oh, the manti. The manti.
Never going to go away.
Can you wear the manti on our next episode, Steva?
That'll be, I should have worn it today for Nat's birthday. Be your birthday present.
Just saying. But for those of you who don't know, she misspelled my tie and said manti. So then I thought, I know.
I'm going to catch it.
Which you're allowed to do. But I decided, well, why don't I make a man tie with a man drinking a Mai Tai on it? Very meta. So I made one of those. And you know what? The anticipation of waiting to see you, to give you this. I mean, I had it made. It was sitting in my house, and I was just looking at it for like a whole month, like, when is Tiki by the Sea happening? I need to do this. So, yeah, I remember.
Let's put Sly.
That was a highlight.
We need to get Sly a manti.
Yes. Yeah, I have several mantis.
I don't know if you want my like that.
Yeah,
they're not gender specific. They're just ties.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're ties for everybody, actually.
Mantis for everybody. All right.
Yeah.
Favorite look Steva gives people.
Oh.
Listen, I'm doing this. This is your birthday. I'm going to let this happen for your birthday.
Oh,
Man.
oh.
You know, there's always the famous when she has her arms crossed and she just puts her head down and does the nod. It's just you just did something just really, really dumb. And she's like, oh God, and just and yeah.
That's a good one. That's
I'll
pretty
see
good.
that across the wherever we are, and I'm like, somebody just did something. Somebody did something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely is a fave. So
all right. That's good. That's a good one. All right. Favorite meal in Wildwood that my dad did not make. I got to change this one up because everybody answers the same thing.
Oh yeah, right. Because that is the best, the clam bake.
Right, yeah.
During Tiki by the Sea or just in Wildwood?
You can do one of each.
I can do one of each. So during Tiki by the Sea, my favorite is definitely the subs. Was it Primo?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Primo hoagies.
Primo hoagies or subs. I don't know what the correct
Turkey
way to
crusher.
say it. Yeah. So, you know, obviously subs in the East Coast are a thing. So I've heard. So yeah, the subs, they're amazing. Yeah. So, and then besides Tiki by the Sea, Hooked Up Seafood is definitely my favorite. It's just a little shack along the water. It's a little shack along the water, and they just pull the seafood out and put it on a paper for you, and you just eat it. So it doesn't get fresher than that. So that's definitely my favorite, especially because we don't have it in Las Vegas.
We definitely do not.
Seafood like that. So.
All right. Weirdest thing you've seen in Wildwood. Weirdest. Wildwood.
I love when you ask people this, but the thing is I have great answers because they stay up late. See, I go to bed at Tiki by the Sea at like 9 p.m. and because I'm lame. So everything that's really, really weird happens at like after midnight or so, I hear. So I never make it that late. But if I have to think, definitely watching burlesque with Tom Nevin-Glass.
I knew that was going to be your answer. And at first, I was going to be like, if your answer is not light up Cloud Merkin during burlesque, you're fired.
Cloud crotch. You know,
I mean, it was
one for the books. Yeah, you know, especially it's not because we're with friends and other attendees. I'm there with my boyfriend's father, who I haven't known very long, and he comes out.
I don't think he was mad at it.
He wasn't. No,
he was into it.
And you shouldn't, because you know we love burlesque. You know, shout out to burlesque dancers. I love it. They're amazing. But there's something about you standing there next to your boyfriend's dad, and he comes out and stands next to me just as the woman exposes the cloud crotch. She just has a cloud on the crotch area, and we were like, oh, that's amazing. But Tom, just standing next to him, and then she kind of does her thing and walks away, and then we're just standing there, and it's just one of those times where you just want to say, how are the Yankees? Like what's going on? Like you just kind of want to bring something else up.
How's the weather looking?
It was a little awkward.
Yeah. Slide. We had somebody do a pop-up with burlesque at my parents' motel where we do Tiki by the Sea, and my dad just rolls out there, like arms like this, just kind of like.
I don't think he's ever seen that before.
Who knows? I don't think we want to know the answer to that. All right, next question. Tell us. This is for your birthday. Tell us something embarrassing about me you want viewers to know.
Ooh.
That's a gift.
Wow.
That's a gift right there.
Look at that. How much trouble do I want to get into, though?
Well, you make your own bed.
Oh.
The thing is, you're pretty, believe it or not, this guy's pretty normal. Like he doesn't, there's nothing really embarrassing I can say about him. I'm just glad this is not the other way around because I'm the real weirdo here. So yeah. And the thing is, he doesn't get embarrassed. That's what's embarrassing. He'll go out and do things that are embarrassing, and he doesn't care. He's like, oh yeah, whatever. I'm the one that's mortified every single day.
That sounds accurate.
So, but I can show you. So Peter got me, we're Raiders fans. He got me Raider socks for my birthday. It's one of the gifts today. So I
There's
put
the
them.
small gift. There's a little throw in.
That's all I got. I'm just kidding.
Shots fired.
And so I try them on, and I'm like, oh, these are so cute. But then when I put it on, I noticed that there's a hole.
Come on, Piggy.
And then I was like, oh, there's a hole on the sock. And he goes, oh, shit. He goes, I cut the tag off with some scissors.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, that's
It's
great.
character. Just gives them character.
Wait, hold on a minute. They put the tag on the toe?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like somewhere in a weird spot. It was rolled up. They're long socks, you know?
Yeah.
So I brand new socks. My toes just hanging out.
They put the tag in the wrong spot, right?
That's not your fault, man. You don't put the tag on the toe. That's a vulnerable
Makes
part.
no
That's not a sock.
I'm going to write him a letter.
You just ruin everything.
I'm going to write him
Yeah.
Steva, do you have a question?
No, she doesn't.
I think we need one.
What? Tell me your favorite swimsuit that has debuted at Tiki by the Sea.
Oh, that's a good one.
Listen, Nat B makes swimsuits.
I mean, not currently. I did. It might resume, but currently not. But thank you, Steven, for the shout out. Nat B Swim.
Hey, I'm here for it always.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I don't remember his name, but there was a gentleman who had a one-piece, like tropical swim piece, but it was like a romper swimsuit on the
from Detroit.
Yeah, I wish we had a picture that we could put up, but that was definitely my favorite.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll put that in the next newsletter.
Yeah, he really crushed it. And we made him model it around the pool, and he was a really good sport. So
yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
There's some good outfits. The romper has become like de facto uniform now. Everybody needs a romper.
Yeah.
I don't even have a romper.
No,
don't
not everyone. No. Stop. Just stop.
We should get you one of those bathing suits. Aaron says he needs one of those bathing suits.
Yeah.
I am okay. Aaron is great. No.
Or Bruno's Speedo is always a winner. Yeah.
Bruno just got married in Vegas.
Yeah.
Congrats to Bruno. Yeah.
He wore the Speedo all day, every day.
Yeah.
During the Tiki by the Sea.
Yeah, there's a bunch of photos of this one guy, Bruno, who is from New York, who was tended then volunteered in a Speedo. And then there's a bunch of photos of Bob Wagner. He pretty much wore a robe for 3 straight days with sunglasses. Literally did not change.
I think you're giving people ideas for next year. They're going to be
get creative.
You can wear all these things. You can be you.
Be you.
By the Sea.
There you go. Diverse community, man.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm here for. First bunch of weirdos.
Listen, if Tiki by the Sea isn't a place for weirdos, I don't want to be there.
Yeah, that's totally fair. That's totally fair. Amazing. Thank you. Happy birthday, babe.
Thank you. I can't believe I survived.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Happy birthday.
The Game-tron.
Who?
Baby.
All right. So keeping in touch with Sly, trailerh.com. You can check out the gear, some of the other ways on here. PayPal at trailerh.com if you are so in a position to do so. Next week, we have Julian Cox, food and beverage entrepreneur, has run a million things, LA Cocktail Royalty. He's going to talk about consulting, contracts, and business strategy, which should be a really cool session. So thank you again, guys. It's been amazing. Sly, good luck out there. Let us know how we can help. I love what you're doing.
Cheers. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Hopefully see you guys soon in the flesh.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Get out to Wildwood, September.
I'm there.
Coming. It's going to go down.
Secrets, man. I need to go to
Yes,
Secrets.
sir. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
All right. Amazing.
All right.